Wait, don't leave. I'm a friendly. I'm just filling in for Repsion because he's out doing Repsion things that only he knows how to do, and he entrusted me to fill the void in your life for a few minutes until he comes back and blesses you with that beautiful face of his. I go by many names: the doctor, the professor, the philanthropist, the gynecologist, the cafeteria lady, the veterinarian on Mondays. But you, for the time being, can refer to me as the sexiest black YouTuber. My name is Ruin Leon. Play my intro. I think the most important thing you could have as a journalist is credibility. You never want people looking at your work and thinking you're a liar. You don't give me all the correct information. All you're doing is spreading narratives and false information. I don't trust you. You want people to see your work and view you as a trustworthy individual. But the problem I have with a lot of mainstream media and small stream media is how blatantly obvious it is when they're trying to spin a narrative when they don't have the facts of the situation. We've all seen at least one time a 15-second clip of some ending that happened, whether if it's somebody getting hurt, jumped, or shot, and then once it trends and once all these media moguls get their hands on it, they spin a narrative and use buzzwords to play with your emotions. But the issue is when they're wrong and when the facts come out about the situation and all those facts go against every single narrative that they talked about for days, weeks, months, sometimes even years, and they don't come back on camera and say, hey, we were wrong. We were spreading a narrative and it was a lie. We didn't have all the information. We didn't have any true statements. All we had was just something to talk about, and we talked about it and it wasn't the right information. The facts came out and now we look stupid. We are sorry. Here's all the right information. They shift the blame somewhere else and act as if they were just the ones reporting the information given to them. It's not that hard to just wait. I do this thing when these certain situations happen, and it's gotten me in trouble because people think I'm supposed to play their emotions. I sit in the middle, not because I'm biased, not because I'm hoping for some funny thing to happen. It's because whatever this 15-second clip is, I don't know anything about it. I don't know the people. I don't know the situation. I don't know the beginning or the middle. All I know is the unfortunate end of somebody's life, or them getting beaten up, or some other third thing that could happen. And it's embarrassing how many of these individuals who claim to be credible get on all these different platforms and embarrass themselves spinning narratives and then have to walk with egg on their face when the talking points get diminished. And I got 3 examples of this, and I'm going to start with the funniest and the most recent one. If you don't know who this man is, count yourself lucky. His name is Jussie Smollett, and until recently, he was viewed as somebody who got jumped one night in -20-degree weather with a Subway sandwich in his hand, and he had a noose around his neck and bleach poured on him, and he was attacked by some individuals who screamed, "This is MAGA country," and so you would think they're obviously some hillbilly whites, and the media had it presented as, we have a problem here. There are too many individuals out here harming the black community and the gay community, and this is something we need fixed in our society because it's wrong to be homophobic, which it is.
It's about coming to the aid of another brother that has tasted the brutality of hatred, racism, and bigotry.
In this situation, hate won't win. It will not.
You didn't deserve, nor anybody deserves, to have a noose put around your neck.
He had bleach poured onto him.
This needs to stop.
He will forgive these people for what they did, but he won't, and we cannot forget their actions.
And hopefully this just opens up people's eyes. It's just what needs to stop, man. God damn, why are we going backwards?
There are a lot of evidence of violent incidents that happen at these MAGA rallies.
This is essentially terrorism, and you wonder like how deep it goes, these hateful groups that get together, or maybe hopefully it's just 2 people, but that's what I'm afraid of, that it's going to go a lot deeper.
Thank you for calling it terrorism, because the media does not.
It is.
It is. It's domestic terrorism.
Absolutely.
But I don't like that it's being put out there in the media that this is a possible hate crime. I think that even sows a seed that makes people feel like, well, is he making this up? Well, what is this about? I don't like that. Like, don't put that in people's minds. This man was hurt. He was injured and he needs justice.
It's the horrific details, behind the premeditation for this attack. They didn't find a rope, they brought a rope. I mean,
we pretty much thought racism had come a long way when President Barack Obama was president.
But by the way, it had.
Yeah, it had, but
we're going backwards
then the
again.
hatred. So if you really want to get into that, you want to build a wall for somebody, build a wall for some of the white nationalists and supremacists.
We have a media that's saying it's a debate whether or not what just happened to Jussie Smollett is a hate crime. It's absurd. This isn't a debate.
There have been people in the government now who have made it okay for people to announce these hateful feelings that they have towards other people.
We really need to find these
one of the things you and I were discussing earlier is clearly anyone who lives with this kind of hate is not terribly bright.
And above all, I fought the back.
I'm an advocate. I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this. It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot more. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now. The fact that we have these fear mongers, these people that are trying to separate us, and it's just not okay.
Again, Jussie Smollett just found guilty on 5 of the 6 felony disorderly conduct charges he faced in this trial that took about a week and a half here at the Layton Criminal Courthouse.
The problem is they were not telling the full truth, and now, as of a couple of days ago, he's been found guilty of 5 of his 6 counts. And where is this media? The same media that lets you know that this is a problem? Nowhere to be found. They're not talking about it. They're not describing in detail how they got this wrong and how they just blindly believed the dude without actually looking at that story as something to question. And it's gotten to the point where the same individual, Don Lemon, who was in support of Smuggle Nuts, is now burying him under the rug to save face for himself.
They're here to make up too many lies to why he didn't want to do certain things, or like to cover, like another lie, and that, I guess he got caught up in that because he took the stand himself. He got angry with the prosecutor as the prosecutor poked holes in his story, calling, only the only other witnesses liars.
On to number 2, and I think number 2 is going to be the thing that get a lot of you to not like me. Kyle Rittenhouse. What was the situation and the talking points surrounding Kyle Rittenhouse? Well, if you listen to the media, they will let you know.
Kenosha shooter, Kyle Rittenhouse, he murdered 2 people, by the way.
Rittenhouse is basically what you would have had in a school shooter. He's a 17-year-old kid. He shouldn't have had a gun. He crossed state lines to supposedly protect property. No, he was going out to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the armed teenage vigilante.
A 17-year-old vigilante, arguably a domestic terrorist, picked up a rifle, drove to a different state to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a guy who's deeply racist, went with weapons to a Black Lives Matter protest looking to get in trouble. He did. He murdered a couple of people.
Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old kid, just running around, shooting and killing protesters.
You see the 17-year-old who was radicalized by Trumpism, took his AR-15 to Kenosha and became a killer.
A white, Trump-supporting, MAGA-loving, Blue Lives Matter social media partisan, 17 years old, picks up a gun, drives from one state to another with the intent to shoot people.
Thank you to the entire Duke family. Thank you for living on Instagram and everything like that. After this post, I will be logging off.
I simply wanted to publicly announce that the verdict of the Kyle Rittenhouse case has been nothing more than a disgusting reminder of what it's really like to be black in America. All the protesting, everything we went through in 2020, we really would think would make a change, but clearly it doesn't. We scream Black Lives Matter, but it doesn't matter enough for these people who are in power, the jury, the judge, anybody, to charge this man with murdering and taking away 2 beautiful black lives, 2 beautiful black lives, 2 beautiful black lives, 2 beautiful black lives, 2 beautiful black lives.
But as the court case happened and the defense talked and the prosecution talked, I was watching that case and I thought the prosecution was doing a bad job trying to convince the jury and the public who was watching that this dude did not act in self-defense and he just blindly started shooting individuals. And that wasn't the case. The defense laid it all out there and let you all know that, hey, this dude actually acted in self-defense. It was to the point that one of the key witnesses admitted that they were in the wrong for what they were doing, and it made it seem like it was all justified. And when Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty, nobody said anything. All it was a spin on how the justice system favors white people. White supremacy here, white supremacy there.
I was not at all surprised. We've talked about this. I mean, this is what we expected to happen, because I think we have to keep in mind when we're watching the criminal justice system at work that it was designed to do exactly what it did today. Gun laws helped to enhance the design to allow this verdict to happen today. This country was built on the idea that white men had a particular kind of freedom and a particular kind of citizenship that only they have, that gives, from the slave catchers on, the right to inflict violence in the name of protecting property. That's like the foundational creation of the United States. So it would have been shocking. I'm glad you mentioned the Derek Chauvin verdict. That was the surprising verdict. This should have been unsurprising. But what I do think we have to think about is not only the families of the 2 men who died and the family of Mr. Grosskreutz. They should be in our minds right now because they suffered. And there have been a lot of white people who have defended black lives and paid for it with their lives. That goes all throughout our history, going back to John Brown. You go through the civil rights movement. But what I am concerned about is the precedent this sets for what people will believe that they can do under law when Black Lives Matter protests happen in the future. And that people may use this as an excuse to start going out of state and doing what this teenager did, believing that they'll get away with it, and in some cases, getting away with it.
It was weird watching individuals during the trial try to say that Kyle is going to get off scot-free because of the judge seemingly being biased for yelling at the prosecution for doing something they weren't supposed to do.
I don't see how anybody can say that this judge is not biased and is not leaning in a certain direction.
I think that the behavior of the judge in totality is the problem.
This judge is an absolute joke. He's been a joke from the very beginning.
Clearly, this guy has biases that are affecting the administration of this case.
I completely agree from my observation that the judge is entirely biased.
The judge is making it pretty much impossible for the jury to actually consider all the facts and come up with a verdict where justice will be served. You've tweeted and talked about the fact that the judge is racist, and you think that impacts how he is managing this trial.
He has made a series of decisions. Each one perhaps may be individually defensible, but in totality lead to the impression of a biased, racist judge with his Trump rally cell phone.
What's weird is that I know a lot of people who have made it this far are going to say, well, Leon, how could you sit there and support him? He's obviously white, and the people he shot were individuals who were supporting Black Lives Matter, and you're black. What is wrong with you? First of all, I don't need anybody supporting me. I'm a grown-ass adult and I pay rent. I'm fine. I view this as something anyone with a gun could answer. If you are a gun owner, you would have done the exact same thing Kyle Rittenhouse did. You would have defended yourself in a situation where your life could have been on the line. It's not a situation of, oh, well, I'm willing to risk it and my astrological sign is going to tell me I'm going to be okay. No, this isn't a video game. This isn't child's play. It's your life. And when your life is threatened, you're going to defend yourself. No matter what lengths you're going to go about it, you will do it to the bitter end. And anyone who's going to say, oh, well, I could have done it differently, a blowjob's not going to get a bunch of people to stop attacking you, and asking them nicely is probably just going to get you punched in your eye harder. Give up on that and defend yourselves when your life is on the line. I'm going to be honest, this last one kind of gets me because of how blatantly obvious this was the minute the body cam footage came out. And it was embarrassing that these same individuals who seem to be credible and talk about how they know everything and spew these narratives didn't get back on these same platforms and say, I got this wrong. Ma'Khia Bryant is someone who is no longer on this earth. And regardless of how you feel about police or white cops or white people in general, you have to admit the cop was justified in shooting her. Because if you were to go with the media and what they said, they would tell you that this cop just showed up and just blindly fired. He could have had all these different alternatives as a way to stop her in attacking somebody, but they're not going to tell you that if it wasn't for that cop shooting her, Ma'Khia would have possibly been a murderer because she was a split second away from stabbing somebody with a knife. And even still, there was a discussion being had about, oh, well, we can't really see anything in her hand because of the quality of the video. And it's still these games shifting the goalpost in order to get people to go along with the narrative. Ma'Khia Bryant is somebody who should still be alive. I'm not one of these people who sit there and say, huzzah, this person is no longer here. It is unfortunate that somebody lost their child, but acting as if this situation was just a cop showing up and opening fire and it being open season on black people when it pertains to white cops is just not true. This was something that unfortunately happened, but it was presented incorrectly by all these different people trying to get you to understand that white cops are always going to target you 24/7 because of the color of your skin. And that's not to say those instances don't happen where cops get things wrong. It's the fact that this incident was used as a means to set that example when it's the wrong example. I know I only said 3, but a 4th one just popped in my head and I want to share it with you. When the Gabby Petito situation happened and she went missing and she was confirmed no longer on this earth and everybody was pointing the finger at the boyfriend rightfully, and now he's no longer on this earth, so we really didn't get any justice for her. There was one idiot who got on TV and embarrassed themselves, and that was Joanne Reed. Joanne Reed said, any of you that are caring about this so much, it's a symptom of missing white girl disease or missing white girl syndrome or something like that.
It goes without saying that no family should ever have to endure that kind of pain. And the Petito family certainly deserves answers and justice. But the way this story has captivated the nation has many wondering, why not the same media attention when people of color go missing? Well, the answer actually has a name: missing white woman syndrome, the term coined by the late and great Gwen Ifill to describe the media and public fascination with missing white women like Lacey Peterson or Natalie Holloway, while ignoring cases involving missing people of color.
And the issue I have with that is that if you're going to shame people for caring about a content creator or an internet celebrity, I'm not really sure what Gabby did or was doing that made her famous, but if you're going to say that and shame people, you have to keep it consistent with all of the people of color who are missing. Because if you're going to shame people for a missing person based on the race of that missing person, you got to keep it consistent. And Joanne Reed has not been doing that. There are a lot of missing black people, men and women, little kids that don't get reported on, that don't get the same media attention as people who are content creators or internet celebrities. And the saddest part that people don't want to admit is that regular people are here and internet celebrities and celebrities in general are up here. People are going to pay more attention to the people who are more famous. That's just the sad part of life. And that's really shitty. But the thing that bothers me is that if you're going to get on camera and shame a bunch of people for caring about a white girl, you have to be somebody who's always going to be about finding everybody, and she hasn't been doing that. And that's what pisses me off about her specifically, is that you wanted to make a missing girl about race instead of making it about the missing girl and trying to find her and trying to save her from the situation that happened. Ultimately, that didn't pan out. But when you're doing that, you have to realize consistency is key, and she has not been consistent since saying that dumb shit. The reason I'm doing this is because I want people to see the game. I want people to see how individuals spin narratives or try to make you feel guilty about supporting a side of a situation in order to boost their own numbers and boost their own stock in some company. It's embarrassing that these people say these things and then they walk them back or completely disregard them when they're proven wrong. It's really disturbing how people make certain situations about race when it has nothing to do with it. It's disturbing that there are those who want to prey on your emotions and the things you care about and use them as a means for their own leverage, even if it ruins their credibility. There needs to be more of a nuance in actually taking the time and looking at the information. I understand a couple of you might be lazy. You might be somebody who's not interested. You might be somebody who looks at this and says, yeah, it kind of involves me. I'm kind of affected by it, but I'm not going to take the time to delve deep into this because I have my own issues, and that's fine. You're not the problem. The problem are the people spreading that information because they're not being credible to you, because you might want to know some highlights. And if they're not giving you the correct highlights and all they're talking about is how certain people look or how there's only one black juror in this jury situation, then you're not getting what you need, the actual facts of any situation that's broadcasted as mainstream. And with that, I bid you all goodbye. Thank you, Repzion, for allowing me to spread a little bit of diversity on your channel. If you enjoyed this, or if you enjoyed my sweet chocolate face, you can subscribe to my channel. All you gotta do is type in Ruin Leon and you'll see some weird cartoon with me in a pink hat. That's all that really is. I'll see you all hopefully on my channel, but if not, it's been a pleasure entertaining you. Goodbye.